Herc looks out to the ocean as he calls his son, Chuck, to him. He tells him about the plan of Stacker, as he has already been informed. Chuck, however, claims the other pilots use Jaegers that are less effective and believes Striker Eureka, their own machine, is the only one truly powerful enough to win a fight. Older Jaegers, such as Gypsy Danger, in his opinion, are obsolete and not strong enough anymore. It's again made clear how overly confident and stubborn the son is, but Herc tries to make him see how that attitude won't win any fight at all. It'll be the death of him if he won't accept the support of fellow pilots. Chuck looks bitter and eventually leaves his father alone. Their relationship is clearly less than healthy. In his lab, Newton has a moment to himself. He thinks back to the first time he ever saw a kaiju, but never from up close. He has always had more of a fascination with these creatures, instead of actual fear, even though he realizes they must be destroyed. That's when his fellow colleague, Gottlieb, enters. He has always been much more of a skeptic and believes this Manhattan mission is foolish. Yet Newton claims there's no other way at the moment. The two have little chats, as they do have some respect for each other, but they have a hard time admitting it, constantly trying to outsmart the other. It's a comedic moment, but when Newton offers a drink in the end, Gottlieb does accept, and they both enjoy just that. When dawn breaks, Nick gets out of bed as he kisses Audrey a final time. He heads out while she still sleeps, but he does leave her a letter, knowing their farewell would otherwise be too hard. Newton is already on the helipad of the base with Stacker and Herc. Nick soon arrives along with some other scientists. Stacker and Herc wish them all the best of luck. The helicopter will take them to the nearest air carrier and thus make way for Manhattan. Hopefully they will be back in time, but they will make one hell of a final stand to make sure they last long enough. It ends with Newton, Nick and all the other scientists departing in the helicopter and out to the ocean. On an air carrier, Sarasawa, Vivienne and multiple others are still doing research on the history of the kaijus. They try to make a map of all the global sightings, which apparently are all around the coastal areas of the Atlantic, Pacific and Indian Ocean, but no further. Every attack or sighting that has ever been recorded is being mapped out, hoping to find a point of origin. It has to be somewhere deep in the ocean, that's for sure, but that still doesn't narrow it down. That's when Admiral Stens arrives and mentions a new mission for them. A more interesting one, perhaps. We see how this is the air carrier on which Newton and Nick arrive later on. On deck, the two are greeted by Admiral Stens, who then also introduces them to Captain Ford. He will be the leader of the military unit to protect them once they reach Manhattan. Ford is confident and assures them his men and women will take good care of him. Afterwards, the newcomers head down to the research room and meet with Sarasawa, Vivienne and the others. They soon explain what their plan is and why. Sarasawa claims it's very dangerous. It's a very dangerous idea and unlikely to succeed. But Vivienne is more optimistic, believing they are out of options as it is. Perhaps their best chance for a breakthrough is the most unsafe one. We get a scene where all these characters exchange what they know and try to put as many pieces together as they can. They eventually still come to the big conclusion. The key to the kaiju's demise lies in their blood and DNA. So, they must retrieve an egg from the nest in Manhattan, or not at all. Somewhere along the huge coastal wall along Cape Town, we see hundreds of construction workers working tirelessly to build a massive defense around the city. One of the workers is revealed to be Raleigh, more tired and bitter looking now. It's clear how the death of his brother has had a huge toll on him. During one of the many breaks, he is approached by someone who is revealed to be Stacker. This takes Raleigh off guard, convinced he would have never seen him again. They catch up a little bit, and it's revealed how Raleigh left service himself, not able to cope with the loss he suffered. Stacker understands, but does eventually tell him about the current state of things. They're making one final stronghold at their base in Hong Kong, while their finest scientists are out on a mission to retrieve data that might change everything. Raleigh does wish him good luck, but wants to turn down the offer of coming back. He simply can't let anyone back inside his head with the drift sequence. He mentions he was still connected to his brother when he died, and that was far too painful to ever experience again. He can't do that. He can't ever witness that again. Stacker gives a proper monologue now about how he knew Jancy well. He knew he would be proud. He knew how proud he was of Raleigh and how much he saw in him. He would have never wanted him to give it all up. He would have wanted his brother to keep fighting, no matter how the tides would turn. It's a heartfelt, inspirational moment, and finally Raleigh gets convinced in the end. He agrees to return, to honor his brother, to avenge him. Stacker smiles and shows him gladly the way to the helicopter he came with. It's time to become a Jaeger pilot again. The air carrier is headed full speed to New York. We see Serizawa on deck enjoying the night breeze, looking out to the ocean. He knows that deep down it must be swarming with kaiju creatures, yet none of them come up to the surface. Why is that? What makes them do what they do? Who controls them? These questions keep haunting him, while all the while he also ponders other things. We get a very quick flashback of him as a very young boy, sitting next to what appears to be his father. They have a big ancient-looking book in which they read, but we don't know what's in the book. We just get this very quick glimpse, and Serizawa, in present day, keeps on thinking about it, over and over. In his own room, Ford has a video call with his wife, Elle. We get a nice scene where we see how the confident captain is actually a loving husband and father. It's a sweet moment as he talks to his little son on the webcam and afterwards only his wife. Elle is clearly worried about him, knowing where he has to go, but Ford assures he'll be back in time in San Francisco to meet them again. They give each other a virtual kiss, expressing their love. It does end with Elle asking Ford if he has heard anything from his parents, which he hasn't. It's hinted at that they're missing, and now it's revealed to us how Ford's parents are actually Joe and Sandra from the previous episodes. He has been trying to reach them for days, but with no success. All news from the island where his parents live has been cut out. Something must have happened, but he's powerless to do anything about it. At the research room, some are still working, including Vivienne and Newton. The two have another chat as they talk about what the consequences might be if the kaijus truly reproduce on their own. How many eggs would they lay? How fast would they grow? How quick could they lay eggs again? It's all unsure and frightening at the same time, yet both find it hauntingly fascinating. They will soon find an answer to all of it, hopefully. It's then that the sirens of the ship sound loudly. Vivienne, Newton, Nick, Ford, and many others all head up to the deck or bridge. That's when they see it in the distance. The cityscape of a partially destroyed Manhattan, surrounded by multiple warships. It doesn't look at all like the city they used to know, more like a deserted battleground. All our characters stare at the sight, but Newton and Nick are more destined than ever. That's where they must go. That's where they will find the answers.